Well, Affinity pulled the rug out from under me. They dropped a brand new release, Affinity 3. So the question is, should I do this latest video in the old program or the new one? I decided to jump straight into the new program. This decision was predicated on two things. I don't want to be one of those old get off my lawn old people that are afraid of change, even though I am an old people. Also, I don't tend to try to learn all the changes in a program in one sitting. I just let it happen over time when I actually need these tools. I absolutely hate to sit through those new app tutorials. I'll never remember all that stuff anyway. We learn by doing. If you want the new release, go to Affinity Studio at affinity.studio. You'll see a Canva account. If you don't have a Canva account, you do need one. Now don't worry, you won't have to pay for anything unless you want the AI tools. I'll start at the beginning so that you can see the differences in the program. I'll click on the green Affinity icon. It's this one up here that looks like an S with a little triangle on it. And I'll double click so it will open up. This does look a little different, but I never really got into the weeds about setting up my document. I just did the same old thing all the time. But in this case, I want something that's wide, so I'm just going to click on this, and it's going to open up that legal document right here. Now in this video, I'm going to illustrate how to use symbols to make a flower. This is useful when you have to make a change and multiple objects are involved. It actually can save you a lot of pain. Now if you look up here, I have Vector Studio selected. This is actually the same as Affinity Designer. Right now we have all of the programs rolled into one kind of a program, and this right here is Vector. Right here you have Pixel, which is really the Affinity photo, and then you have the layout, which is the publisher. So all of these are in the same place. I'm thinking of something I'm going to do down the line, and I think this is going to be a good thing. So I'm going to select the vector one. I'm doing that because I'm going to be doing a vector design. So I'm going to go up here to File and Place, and my video flower arrangement thing will open up. I made all these flowers. All these are Affinity files, and they were made with the old one. But I'm probably going to use the new one from now on. What I need to find is the PNG. So I'm going to select the one I already exported out. I'm going to open that up and then draw it over here on the side. And I'm doing that because I want to show you what we're driving to. We're going to get something similar to this, maybe not the same color, but this is what we're going to end up with. So what I need to do is to start making the petal. So I'll go over here and find the ellipse tool, which is right here, and then I'm going to shift down and draw my circle. So I'm going to draw my circle and then click on some, well, I don't want an outline, but I do want a fill color. Get rid of this outline. Thank you. And I want to fill it with some color. It really doesn't matter, but I'll use this one just because it was there, and I'm going to use that to fill with. I think I'm going to take this and move it over a little bit so we can get it more centered. Now what we need to do is to convert this to curves. If you look up here, normally you would see convert to curves written out in one of these little bars. Notice it's not there. You can do it one of two ways. You can either right click and select convert to curves, or you can select this little box right here that looks like it's got a play icon in it, and it does say convert to curves, so you just want to click on that and it will convert to curves. And of course, whenever you select convert to curves, the node tool will automatically select itself, and we're going to pull down so that we get like a teardrop sort of a thing. And I do want to resize this, so I am going to make this smaller. It's actually what I'm going to do. Remember, when you're doing this, hold down Shift, and I'll move it up like that. So now I've got my petal. That's where we're going to start. What I need to have happen here is I need to get a whole bunch of petals, and I want to make them go around in a circle. But the first thing I need to do is I need to make something that is called a symbol. And to do this, with this selected, you need to go to Window and Vector. The last one, it was Window and the symbols was right down here, but they didn't do that. Now they've nested it under Vector. And then down here, and you go down to Symbol, and the Symbols box opens. When the Symbols box opens, you select Create. And now you've got something that looks just like this that's there. So anything you do to this symbol is going to affect all of the petals that we make. So now we need to tell it something. We need to tell it where all the petals are going to be arranged. We need to have an origin or a place right down here where the petals know that they're going to arrange themselves. And I think I'm going to make this smaller still. We need to go to something that's called Transform Origin. And there used to be a little icon up here that you just punched, but now you've got to go into Settings to find it. So you go into Settings, and it will say Enable Transform Origin. So we click the Enable Transform Origin, and that little bullseye will come up right in the center of your petal, and then we just click on it and drag it all the way down to there, because that's where the petals are going to go all the way around. We need to duplicate a petal, so we're going to go Control J, and now over here you'll notice I have another petal, and we want to tell this. Now the only thing this thing knows is that the petals are all going to go around this little thing right here. But we have to be able to tell it how much it's going to go around. By fiddling with this, I've sort of figured out anywhere between 44 and 45 degrees is going to be fine. And you'll see it change down here when I grab this and then pull it around. And then I'm going to keep going until that says that it's around 45 degrees more or less. So it's 44.6, so that's fine. So now we've got this that's going around, and now all we have to do is just do Control J and dissolve and put our petals all the way around. So now we have a flower. So far we've got all of our petals. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change this petal that's selected. What should happen is when you do anything to this petal, everything else should happen to the rest of them. If it doesn't, that means that you have the wrong petal selected. So make sure that we have our node tool selected, and go over here, and there you go, select it, and then we're going to make this into a shape that's sort of like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, so I'm going to do that and pull it out a little bit and see how that changes. All of them will change. So I'm going to do this and make this a little bit narrower, and then do that and make that narrower like that, and then click on this and make this narrower, and just fiddle with it until I get what I want. So it really doesn't matter what you really want to do. So anyway, so you can make these narrower, and get the kind of thinness or clearance that you want. And after fiddling around, you're going to end up getting something that you like. Make sure that you pull on the handles because that's really what you're going to be doing. I want it to be thin there, and I want this to be maybe down. And you can tell when I pull on these handles that the rest of these symbols, the rest of these petals are changing, so you don't have to worry about that as being covered up by all this other stuff. And you can just do that and pull that out like that until you get something that you like. And we will keep it like that so that we can move on to the next thing. So now we have all of our petals. What I want now is I want to have a gradient. So I'm going to put a gradient on this thing. So I want to go over and select the gradient tool, which is right here. And it's in the same place as the other ones. Now I want to bring up what I don't like about these tools. Normally they were colored. The only way they were grayed out like this is when you weren't using them. Well, now they've lost all their color. Maybe they'll change their mind and bring that back. So let's click on the gradient tool. I want a linear gradient. So I'm going to go down and select linear gradient, and then I'm going to adjust this gradient to where we have kind of an inside line like that. So I'm going to go in here and take a look at what the gradient looks like. Now we can get really fancy and change all the colors. So I'll click on this and go to color, and maybe I'll click something else like that so the gradient changes. Or maybe I want to click another color, so I'll go in here and click something else over there or whatever. That looks pretty cute. I think I'm going to keep it like that. So I'll click out of here, and then now I've got my petals with all my gradients, and all I did was made a change to one petal, and it affected all of them. This one right here that's marked curve, see over here? This is the one that you're going to be changing. If you select any of these others, it really doesn't work for it. You've got to select the one that's nested in the original symbol. So if it's not working for you, that's probably what's wrong. I want this white glow thing over there, and the way I did it was I went over here and I selected the pen tool, and I think I'm going to make this zoom in a little bit. The pen tool, and I made something that look, oh, I'm got to turn that off. Ooh. Snapping is good sometimes, but not always. So I'm going to put that like that, go down and click that, and see how everything's changing? Click that, and then click up on that, and now we have our star. So they all have a star type thing on them. I want, right now we've got no fill on that. I want a white fill, and I don't want any stroke. So we've got to get rid of the stroke. So now we have that, and if we want to change all of this around, we can do that. Now, before I start changing things around, I do want to add an effect on this. See how this is glowing over there? Well, I'm going to go over and I'm going to go down here to layer effects. It's in the same place as it was on the old program. Add layer effects, move that off so we can see it. And then I want a outer glow. So I'm going to select the outer glow. Remember, you've got to select the bar so that the menu will show up. And then I'm going to increase my radius so that I get a glow. And I want a lot of glow, so I'm going to do that and maybe turn up the intensity a little bit like that. And then once you get what you want, you can just close that out. Now, make sure we get out of that, or we're going to be dragging that all the way. Now we can change this by moving this around. See how all of them move? So we can close up that circle if we want, or if we want, we can make this longer, like that, all the way up, like that. I don't think my other flowers I made, I did that to them. So let's click out of that and see what kind of, well, I want this to be down. Okay, and okay, I'm going to be covering it up with something anyway, so I don't suppose it matters. So I just moved this all the way out so that my glow effect and my white things are all the way out there. We are actually done with this because all I'm really going to do now is to do the pollen circles. So I can just close this symbols thing out since I'm done with that. And I'm going to stay zoomed in because these little pollen circles are really small. It's kind of hard to make them. So I'm going to go Shift and draw a little pollen circle. And it might be a good idea if we paid attention to how big they are, 0.163, in case we have to change things. Sometimes it's better to just change the size of them in the transform window. So I'm going to go over here and not do that. I don't want that. Okay. I'm going to go over here and fill it with a gold color and then make a lot of copies. So I'll go Control 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I have 4 of these. And now I can move each of them over to the center. If you can't do that, then what you can do is, let's go in a little bit more so I can see if I can, I want to be able to grab it. Here we go. I'm going to grab each of these circles and move them over, but I don't want to resize them. If you screw up on the resizing, all you have to do is to go down here in the transform window and then type in the numbers that you had. So I'm going to put another circle there and then grab this and put another circle there so I have my pollen circles. I do want an effect on my pollen circles. So I'm going to go down to the, I've got this one selected, I'm going to go down to the effects menu and then I'm going to put an outer glow on my pollen circles, at least this one, and when you change it, you'll see over here what's happening to it. See how that changed? And it's got that glow around it, so that's how you can tell. And let's turn up the luminosity. So we've done one of these pollen circles. So now we can close it and click out of that, and we can then take this effect and copy it to all these other pollen circles. All you have to do is to pull this FX up to the next one, take this one, put up to the next one, and so on until they are all like that. So now we have all of our pollen circles, and let's see what they look like when we go out. So there they are, and quite frankly, I probably would like to make them a little bit wider. So let's zoom back in and pull that one out, take that one and pull it out, pull these out, pull that one out, and just rearrange them a little bit so that now let's see what they look like here. Okay, and we can get a better beat on things by doing this. So there are our pollen circles, and there is our flower, and what we can do is to take those pollen circles and select them all. Once we have them arranged the way we want, oops, we don't want to do that. Come on. And group them. So we'll group them, and then we can just move them around if we want to move them around. Okay, there we are. Here's how you can make use of the symbol function in Affinity, as well as my first foray into the new Affinity 3 release. I really didn't use that many new things to where it became kind of stressful or anything like that. And remember if you want to try this out, to go to the website that I put at the beginning of the video and check that out. And as far as the symbols, I think you can see that it's a lot easier to create a symbol for one petal so that you have the ability to make an adjustment to multiple objects. Can you imagine what it would be like if you made one petal and then every adjustment you made, you had to go around and individually do this to each one? That's why symbols are such a cool thing in this program. I'm recording this on November the 4th, and I already have 4 videos uploaded and set to drop in the old Affinity releases, so you won't see this one until the 1st of December. I'll also make a separate folder for this, as all the Affinity apps are all combined into one app now. By the time you see this video, you may have already downloaded and used the program. How do I feel about the program? Well, I actually like that all the apps are in one. There's something I'm going to do on stained glass that I think this is going to be really helpful. I think the tools, though, are a little bit hard to see. I like when they were activated that they were a different color. They set out from the background a little bit easier, and perhaps they'll fix that in the future. So give this a try. Give the new program a try. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And remember to drop by my Buy Me a Coffee webpage so that you can see my latest posts.